Y'all, this was such a bad week. The week of September 24th through 30th, our sales were not the worst of 2023, but close to it. And I can't say that it is entirely just the fault of a bad economy or anything like that. I mean, it's definitely partially our fault. So let's get into it. If you're new here, my name is Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at places like garage sales, flea markets, anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. So let's dive right in and find out exactly why this week was so bad. Again, this is the week of September 24th through 30th, and sales were horrible. Not only did we not sell a lot of things, but the things that we did sell didn't have a lot of profit on. So just a bad week altogether. It is definitely partially our fault because we recently traveled twice, and so we had both of those times that we were out of town. We consistently listed, but we were not listing enough items. I was maybe listing 3 to 5 items a day. And if you've watched our channel before, you know that this is not our only business. We do eBay and reselling on other platforms part-time. So I sometimes just don't have a lot of time to devote to the reselling business when things for our other businesses and, stuff in our personal life comes up that might prevent us from doing it. And this was just one of those times, and we definitely paid for it financially. So let's find out what exactly sold and how much profit we did manage to make on this horrible week. So the first thing that we sold was a vintage Kodak Duraflex camera instruction book. This was the owner's manual only. You know we love to sell manuals. They sell regularly for us, and although sometimes not a lot of profit, sometimes there is a lot of profit. So manuals just something that we always list just so easy. This one unfortunately did not have a lot of profit. We got this out of a garage sale, like big box lot of camera items. Our cost of goods was only 22 cents, so we had that going for us. So this item only sold for $8 on best offer, so that just made for a couple bucks profit. But still, we'll take it. On a week like this, we'll take everything we can get. Next up was a Mainstays, which I think is a Walmart brand. This was just a blue Mosaic cross metal and glass sun catcher wind chime. And we found this in a storage unit. Our cost was very little, just 28 cents. And this sold for our full asking price of $21.99. So not bad for something that we found in a storage unit. Next up was a 4-pack of brand new Pampered Chef reusable toaster bags, which is an item I'd never heard of, so I picked it up to see how it would do. It didn't sell super fast. Probably not an item I would pick up again, but we did do well on it. We picked it up for $1 and it sold for our $15.99. Next up was the brand was Shilling, and it was a Care Bear surprise blind box figure. This we found in the Goodwill bins. We paid $1.03 for it, and it sold for $14.99. That was our full asking price. Next up was a 2008 Obama baseball cap. This was a vintage item that we found in the Goodwill bins. We thought, I wonder how this would do, and it took forever to sell. I would not pick it up again. Our cost of goods on this was just 92 cents, and this hat sold for our full asking price minus a discount that we were running on clothing this month. It sold for $16.14. Next up was a Corningware microwave browner grill plate. This was something that we found in the Goodwill bins. We weren't really sure what it was, but it was marked Corningware, so we decided to give it a shot. We paid 94 cents for it, and this sold for our full asking price of $24.99. It did take quite a while to sell, so not something I would probably pick up again. Next up was a Lucky brand pair of men's jeans. We do really well with men's Lucky jeans specifically. And this pair we found at a garage sale for $1, and it sold for $23.08. That was our full asking price minus the discount. Next up was 2 women's brand new with tags layering camisole tank tops. One was a Charming Charlie and one was an Ann Taylor Loft. We got these at a garage sale. I have them listed on our spreadsheet at $4.50, and they sold for $20 even on best offer. Next up was one of the Harry Potter books that we picked up at the thrift store. We got Harry Potter in 10 different languages, and this one was the Spanish translation. We paid $5.98 for this book. This one was the least valuable of all of them. We barely made any profit on it, but we have made tons of profit on the other Harry Potter books, so trust me, it worked out. But we had paid $5.98 for this one, and this one sold for $14.38 on offer to buyer. Next up was a lot of 3 Canon Pixma 221 inkjet printer cartridges. They were all new. We got these from a family member who gifted them to us to sell, so we had no cost, and these sold for $11.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was a lot of 13 Junie B. Jones books. We got these at various places, but most of them came from the Goodwill bins. We paid $1.67 for them, and these books sold for $15 even on best offer. Next up was a pair of men's brand new with tags Reef deck shoes. We got these at a garage sale where we paid a bulk price for everything, and then I just took the price that we paid and divided it by the number of items that we picked up, and that made our cost of goods per item at that sale $3.28. These shoes sold for $35 on best offer. Next up was a women's dress by the brand Almost Famous. I described it as romantic, I said floral, and I said that it had a handkerchief, hem, and sleeve. We got this out of a storage unit that we purchased. Our per item cost from that unit was just 28 cents, and this dress sold for $14 even. This is definitely not a brand I would seek out or pick up, but we list everything that's in good condition and has any value of resale from a storage unit because our cost of goods is generally so low. So we did end up making decent profit on that. Next up was a 1998 vintage Hasbro PVC Teletubbies figure. We got this out of a toy bag from the thrift store. We paid just 22 cents for it, and it sold for $12.99. That was our full asking price. Next up was a print. It was called Children on the Seashore by the artist Renoir. We got this from another business that we own. Somebody probably brought it in to be framed and left it, never came back for it. Years went by, we decided to sell it. So we had no cost associated with it, and it sold for $14.50, and that was on best offer. Next up was a Peppermint Santa tray by the brand Fitz & Floyd. It was in excellent used condition, and I don't think we have the box with it. We got this out of the Goodwill bins. We paid just 92 cents for it, and this sold for $20 even. We pick up Fitz & Floyd definitely from the bins if we find it, and then sometimes elsewhere. It just depends on the piece. Some of them sell for a lot. Some of them are bread and butter items like this one, but when you find it in the bins, it's probably something you want to pick up. Next up was a toy. It was called Build Bonanza, and it was flexible tape that you could stick down that was compatible with Lego. And we got this new in the package at a garage sale where I had paid just 87 cents for each item. I paid a bulk rate at that sale as well. And this item sold for $10 even. We had had this in our store forever. I was just glad to get rid of it. I would not pick it up again. Next up was one of the Tannerite stickers. If you've seen our video before, we picked up a huge stack of Tannerite stickers at the Goodwill bins. They've not been moving very fast, but we have sold a few in recent months, so maybe it's a more popular item for some reason. But we had paid 67 cents for that at the Goodwill bins, and this sticker sold for $7.99. That was our full asking price. Next up was a lot of 3 men's surf and skate, like kind of West Coast style t-shirts. It included Vans and Hurley, and I don't remember what the other one was. I think it was DC. But we got these out of a storage unit. We paid just 23 cents for all of them, and these sold for a best offer of $20 even. Next up was a women's Hawaiian Lual dress. It was actually made in Hawaii. The brand was CC Fashions. This came from a family member who gifted it to us to sell, and it sold for $31.18. That was an offer to buyer. Next up was a girls 4T one-piece romper by the brand Jumping Beans. This came out of a storage unit. We paid just 28 cents for it, and this item sold for $11.89. That was our full asking price minus a discount. Next up was a pair of Ugg Women's sandals. We got these at a garage sale. We paid $4 for them, and they sold for $25 even on best offer. Next up was a William Rogers & Son. The pattern was Friendship Modality, and this was a dinner spoon only. We got this at a thrift store. We paid just 24 cents for it. It was in a big bag of flatware that we got, and I parted that bag out. And then this spoon sold for $10 even on best offer. Next up was a 1997 Studio Pottery ceramic bowl. I described it as lime green, blue, funky, eclectic. So if you have a piece of pottery, a bowl, or a mug or something that was created by an artist in a studio, the keyword that I always use for that is studio pottery. This was one of those. This was actually a gift to me a long time ago. I didn't use it anymore. It originally came with like a big platter, I think, that I broke. And this was just something that was sitting around in my kitchen and I never used. So I decided to sell it. It was really cute, but just, I never needed this particular size of bowl. It sold for $22.48, and that was on offer to buyer. Next up was a Starbucks mug. This one had been in our store for a very long time. We got it at a garage sale for $1. It was just a logo coffee mug that was red, very plain. But it did eventually sell for $17.99. That was our full asking price. Next up was a pair of women's Ariat boots. They were brown and green leather cowboy boots. And Ariat is a brand that we tend to pick up, especially the actual boots. They sell really well. We got these at a garage sale for $10, and they sold for $47.98 on offer to buyer. Next up was a tank top by the brand H&M. It was divided by H&M, and this had like a yin-yang on the front. And we got this out of the storage unit. We paid just 28 cents for that, and it sold for $12.68 on offer to buyer. Next up was a women's bra by the brand Cacique, and this was just a nude, lightly lined balconette bra. We got this at a garage sale for $1, and it sold for $12 even on best offer. Next up was a women's North Face fleece vest. We got this at a rummage sale. We paid just 42 cents for it. It was a fill-a-bag rummage sale, but I realized it when I picked it up, but it actually did not have like a size tag in it, so it took me a little while to figure out exactly, what it was and what size it was. Sometimes I'm reluctant to pick up stuff that doesn't have a size tag in it because it definitely decreases the value of the item, but with it being the North Face, I decided to take a risk, and it still sold. We only got $15.98 for it on offer to buyer, but, paying just 42 cents for it, that still worked out. And it sold fast. Next up was a lot of two men's Ralph Lauren long sleeve polo shirts. They were both purchased at one garage sale for $5, and so we decided to lock them together and sold them for $25.49 on our full asking price minus the discount. Last up, I'm going to go over all of the collectible cards that sold for my husband's personal collection. This week we only sold one low value card. It was a 1995 Highlander the Card Game Scry card. It sold for $3.60 on best offer. So let's go over all of the totals. So this week we had 31 sales for an average sale price of only $17.98. That is bad. Like usually our average sale price is between like 20 and 30. And our sales totaled $557.29, making for a net profit of $227.41. So that's really bad. That is like one of the worst weeks we've had all year. We definitely need to improve that, and we've been working on it. We have been listing a lot more, and sales have definitely gone up. So I attribute part of it to that. Other stuff is probably out of my control, but definitely us focusing more on the reselling business and listing more resulted in more sales. That wraps up this video for the week of September 24th through 30th. If you found anything entertaining, helpful, or informative in this video, please let us and YouTube know that you enjoyed it by giving us a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, we would really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you can be kept informed of all of our future content. You can find lots of links and other helpful information in our description box below, so check that out if you have time, and we really appreciate you joining us. And we'll catch you on the flip side.